Hello everybody! So, for the past few weeks, I've been watching through Star Wars Rebels for the first time. I've already talked about Seasons 1 and 2, which you can watch by clicking there. Today, I will be talking about Star Wars Rebels Season 3. And unlike the first two seasons, which I watched like 5 years ago but don't remember, I have actually never seen this season before. So without further ado, let's talk about Star Wars Rebels Season 3. So I have to say that this season started off right. One word, Hondo. As you know, I love Hondo, and I was so happy that they started off the season with him. And I think that it is the perfect time for another segment of Pirate Proverbs with Hondo.
Here, make yourself useful.
Oh, Mandalorian! I can get a lot for this on the black market.
You will be giving it back.
Oh, I'm keeping it.
No, you're not.
How much do you insist on paying me for this intel?
Being rescued from that Imperial prison wasn't payment enough?
But I do need a ship. Nothing too fancy. Just something with a roomy cargo hold, hyperdrive, shields, weapons. I am a wanted man after all. Very popular. You still do not trust Hondo? Given our history together? You want me to the quick, madam. Now don't be blind to this amazing business opportunity. Oh, sorry. I knew that you would see things my way. Oh, sorry again. You are like family. Short, fragrant family. Some of the truth is better than none of the truth, which is what you used to get, so don't try and tell me that I have not grown. Oh, yes, because friendship is the greatest treasure.
Do you really mean that?
Mostly.
Now, I think we need to talk about Ezra. I know, it's pretty upsetting, but Ezra got a haircut. But on the bright side, Kanan got a snazzy new beard. If only he could see how awesome he looks. Oh, there's more to the season than just characters' new hairstyles. I guess Ezra got a cool new lightsaber. It's green, it's awesome. Oh, that's not what you meant. There's nobody over there. That's what they want you to think. Oh, well, Ezra's, he opened the Sith Holocron, and he's using the dark side a little bit now, so, you know, no biggie. Okay, in Ezra's defense, Kanan was being all like, oh, I'm blind now, so, you know, I can't train you to be a Jedi. Wow, Kanan, just because you're blind, you can't train Ezra to be a Jedi? That's a pretty good excuse, actually. Well, actually, not really, because if you remember from the end of Season 2, Kanan does surprisingly well against Darth Maul moments after becoming blind, so... However, the real reason that Kanan doesn't train Ezra is because he is afraid. He is afraid that because he is blind, he can't train Ezra. And he doesn't see that he can still train Ezra while being blind because he can just use the Force. Anyway, back to the Sith Holocron, Kanan finds out that Ezra has opened it and has been using the dark side. He takes the Holocron, and this is where Bendu comes into play. Bendu, or the one in the middle, is a Force user who's in the middle of the Jedi and the Sith. He's not completely light side, but he's also not completely dark side. And he helps Kanan see, although not through his eyes, but through the Force. Then Kanan leaves the Sith Holocron with Bendu. And this would be the last time we see the Holocron, except Darth Maul needs it to merge it with the Jedi Holocron in order to find, wait for it, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Darth Maul captures Hera, Zeb, Sabine, and Chopper and tells Kanan and Ezra to bring him the Sith Holocron. He already has the Jedi Holocron because it's in the Ghost where he's keeping them captured. So Kanan and Ezra get the Holocron back from Bendu and bring it to Maul. Then, a very critical moment of the season happens. Two people are needed to merge the two Holocron. A Jedi for the Jedi Holocron, and a Sith for the Sith Holocron. And when the two Holocrons merge, you can get any question answered. So, Ezra and Maul end up being the two respective Jedi and Sith to perform this merging of the Holocrons. Ezra asks how to defeat the Sith, and Maul asks where Obi-Wan Kenobi is. The problem, though, is that they end up finding the answers to each other's questions. Maul finds out how to defeat the Sith, which coincidentally ends up being Obi-Wan Kenobi. Well, we'll get back to that later. And Ezra finds out that Obi-Wan Kenobi is on Tatooine. Although he doesn't know that that's where Obi-Wan Kenobi is, he just knows that it's Tatooine. So in order to get the answers switched, they end up having to go to Maul's home planet and perform one of the Night Sisters' rituals. While there, they find the Darksaber, which Sabine takes because she's a Mandalorian and the Darksaber originates from Mandalore, but we'll get back to that later. Also in this episode called Visions and Voices, Darth Maul makes an offer to Ezra that's very similar to the one that Kylo Ren makes to Rey in The Last Jedi.
Forget the past! Forget your memories! Forget your attachments.
It's time to let old things die. Snoke, Skywalker, the Sith, the Jedi, the Rebels, let it all die.
Our futures converge on a planet with two suns. We can walk that path together! As friends. As brothers.
My friends are trapped in there because of us. I can't just leave them.
I want you to join me. We can rule together and bring a new order to the galaxy.
Don't do this, Ben.
You disappoint me!
No, you're still holding on! Let go!
Anyway, now that Maul knows where Obi-Wan Kenobi is, he goes to Tatooine to find him. However, since Tatooine is, a planet, that information doesn't really narrow down his search all that much.
Kenobi!
So he has to bring Ezra back into the mix to lure Obi-Wan out of hiding because Obi-Wan cannot resist helping somebody in need. Especially if it is a teenage boy born on Empire Day.
Hello there.
I still don't get how this was a good plan because Obi-Wan could have been on the other side of the planet, which would make this plan unravel pretty quickly. However, against all odds, his plan works and Obi-Wan comes out of hiding to save Ezra. Ezra tells him that the holocron said he is the one that's going to defeat the Sith, but Maul tricked him and Obi-Wan really isn't the key to defeating the Sith. So I guess it wasn't that big of a coincidence after all. Then Darth Maul finds Ezra and Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan tells Ezra to leave and he and Darth Maul get into a lightsaber fight. Although not much of one because Obi-Wan pretty quickly wins and kills Darth Maul for the second and hopefully final time. Now I have to say that Maul's death was kind of disappointing. He had become such an interesting character in the Clone Wars and Rebels, and his death was just like, that's it? I feel like it should have been this big battle that lasted for 10 minutes between Obi-Wan and Darth Maul, but what we got just felt kind of anticlimactic. Also, when Darth Maul is dying, he says,
Tell me, is it the chosen one?
talking about Luke, and Obi-Wan says yes, but isn't Anakin the chosen one? It seems a bit weird that they would put that in there because Luke isn't the chosen one. Sure, he plays a pretty big role in Darth Vader turning good and becoming Anakin Skywalker again, but at the end of the day, it was still his choice, and he is the one who killed Palpatine and brought peace to the galaxy for the time between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. I don't know, it seems a bit weird that they would include Obi-Wan saying that Luke is the chosen one when Anakin is. Anyway, I want to circle back to the Darksaber. So Sabine takes it from Maul's home planet and gives it to Kanan for safekeeping. So Kanan calls Fen Rao, one of the leaders of the Mandalorians who are Jedi, and is like, Yo, I got the Darksaber over here. You got the Darksaber over there? Yeah, I got the Darksaber over here. Okay, I'm gonna come by and see it. Alright, then come by and see it. And that's exactly how that conversation went. Definitely. Then he explains that the Darksaber was made by the first and one of the only Mandalorian Jedi. However, it has since become a Mandalorian symbol, and if Sabine learns to wield it, she may be able to reunite Mandalore. So, Kanan begins training her. I have to say that it was really cool to see Kanan having to train somebody besides Ezra. At first he has her use a training saber, which is just a stick, but that doesn't go very well and doesn't help her at all. Kanan doesn't realize that that's not the right way to train her. You might say he is blind to how to train Sabine. That's just a Hondo joke to make. However, he does eventually realize how to train her. He realizes that she is afraid to admit the terrible things that she did while with the Empire. And if he gets her to admit those things, she'll be able to wield the Darksaber. If you are confused on how those two are connected, I don't know, the Force is complicated. And sure enough, after she admits it, she learns to wield the Darksaber. I noticed a piece of symbolism in regard to Kanan's eye shield. Before he learns how to train Sabine, he is wearing it, but after, he isn't. Symbolizing that he couldn't see it before, but now he can. Okay, so I took up way too much of this video talking about Darth Maul and the Darksaber. I just have 3 more things that I want to talk about. Okay, so first I want to talk about the continuations of the Clone Wars. This season actually quite literally has a continuation of the Clone Wars in the form of the 6th episode titled The Last Battle. In this episode, the Rebels and Rex find what they think is an abandoned Separatist base from the Clone Wars. However, they realize that it isn't actually abandoned because they find some droids that didn't get deactivated from Order 66. This is because the tactical droid didn't obey the order to deactivate the droid army because he thought it was a trap set by the Republic. Now I have to say that I don't really buy that because I feel like the tactical droid shouldn't have that much control to just not obey that order. But I can't complain too much because this episode was really cool and has one of my favorite lines of the whole season.
Roger, Roger.
Wait, who's Roger?
Another continuation of Clone Wars is in the two-part episode Ghost of Geonosis. This episode brings back Saw Gerrera. And I looked this episode up and found out that it was released just a few weeks after Rogue One, which has Saw Gerrera in it. So, unlike most things that Disney has done with Star Wars, that was actually pretty well planned out. Also, this episode has a very Anakin Skywalker-like line said by Sabine right here.
Stupid sand gets everywhere.
Now, we're going to talk about Thrawn. I honestly don't know how I feel about Thrawn. I mean, he's a pretty cool character, but he also seems kind of Star Trek-y. That's not necessarily a bad thing, he just kind of feels out of place. I like how he studied the Rebels and wasn't so by the books like everybody else. I like how we noticed that the Rebels kept beating them because they understood their book, they studied them. So he decided to study the Rebels and beat them at their own game. And because of this, Thrawn could've and would've won, except for other people, Constantine, not following his orders. And finally, let's talk about Agent Kallus. Or should I say, Fulcrum. That's right, Agent Kallus is the new Fulcrum. That moment in the elevator when he reveals to Kanan and Ezra that he is Fulcrum is just mind-blowing. And it all stems back to the Season 2 episode, The Honorable Ones. The start of the friendship between Zeb and Agent Kallus. I love in the episode The Antilles Extraction when Kallus says,
Tell Garazeb Aurelius, we're even.
This season quickly made Agent Kallus one of my favorite characters on Rebels. I love how cleverly he avoids getting caught in the episode through Imperial eyes. And I thought that he successfully avoided getting caught, at least temporarily, but nope, Thrawn is way too smart for him. That moment when Thrawn catches Kallus is just amazing. And how he planned and gathered information to find out exactly where the Rebels base is. Again, he could've, should've, and would've won if it wasn't for others, Constantine. Anyway, the season ends in terms of Kallus with him performing a very Winter Soldier-esque fight scene in an elevator, and we don't actually see it, and escaping with the Rebels. This season is so great. It had Darth Maul, Obi-Wan, Saw Gerrera, and made Agent Kallus one of my favorite characters. Thrawn, although kind of Star Trek-y, was still a really interesting villain. The Darksaber and Sabine training to use it. Bendu, the one in the middle, was a really cool new character. If that does not spell out an awesome season, I don't know what does. Anyway, thank you for watching, and stay tuned for next week when I talk about Season 4 of Star Wars Rebels. In the meantime, though, if you haven't already, please check out my previous 2 videos where I talk about Seasons 1 and 2. Anyway, remember to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts below. With that said, that's a wrap.